Merry Christmas and welcome to the second video in the Guns of Die Hard series. Today we're taking a look at the Steyr AUG. Now before we get started, disclaimer on this is not my gun. I actually reached out to the guys at Steyr and they sent me this gun for review. It is a demo, so it's been used before and it's going to go back to them at the end of this process. So thank you to those guys for sending it out. And honestly, this isn't going to be like a super in-depth historical review or even a review on looking at this gun from a personal defense standpoint, like would I be buying this gun as my main battle rifle or anything. And the reason is I don't think anybody that is right now watching this video or is looking at a Steyr AUG is looking at it from the perspective of this is my go-to gun. I'm going to buy this for home defense or for personal defense. There's just a cult following around this gun from movies like Die Hard. It's been in RoboCop. So I'm going to forego like the serious aspects of the review and look at it from a cool, nostalgic standpoint. And we're going to be talking about its usefulness for sure. Now with that, let's take a look at Carl's weapon, the Steyr AUG. This is actually the AUG. So I don't know if it's AUG or AUG. The guys at Steyr, they keep on calling it the AUG, which is an acronym that means something in Austrian, German, I guess they speak. But this is the AUG, the A3M1. Let me double check on that, A3M1. So this isn't exactly the gun that Carl uses in Die Hard, but it is the latest iteration, the latest version of it. And there have been some upgrades made since the original AUG in the 70s and Carl's weapon from the 80s to get to what we have right here. But it's so cool to be able to now shoot these guns that you've seen in the movies, and thank God that we don't have that stupid assault weapons ban anymore. They did make an AUG during the late 80s and early 90s that was assault weapons ban approved by adding a thumb hole back here, and thank God we don't have to go through that, except for people that are in California, but they can't get these anyway. So starting from the front of this gun, this is very, very unique. And one of the first things that I remember is the fact that Carl, when he is, oh wait, hang on a second, got to go through the manual of arms. When he pulls this gun out to go kill John McClane, he actually pulls it out of a bag in a couple of pieces. So first off, you've got the main firearm here with the firing mechanism, the bolt, all that stuff. And then the barrel itself is easily detachable via a little switch that's up here. And what's so cool about that is it does lend itself to be a little bit more modular than stuff like your ARs. So there's a lot of people that like these guns because they can put the heavy machine gun barrels in here. So it's supposed to be able to have a very high rate of fire and stay cool because the barrel, you can put a heavy barrel in it. You can replace the barrel if you need to on the battlefield. I don't think there's a lot of guys actually carrying separate barrels, but that's just a cool thing that you get to see in the movie. And then boom, you lock the barrel in and you're ready to rock and roll. And what's also cool about it is it's a bullpup. Now, I know there are people that aren't fans of bullpups. I don't have much of an opinion one way or the other. The cool thing about a bullpup is it's going to give you a long barrel. So this is actually a 16-inch barrel, but in a pretty compact design. I think it's overall like 26 inches or something. So let's see if I got something to compare. Oh, here we go. All right, so a clone Mark 18. So this is from Type A. This will give you an idea. A 10.5-inch barrel gun is going to be collapsed about the same exact length. So you're getting a 16-inch barrel in a package that is about the same overall length as a 10-inch Mark 18. So that's just going to fall on the ground there. So that's a cool thing. It is a short stroke piston operated system, which means that there's not like a direct impingement where there's a gas tube going all the way back. One of the things that I will definitely say about firing this gun is with all of the mass in the back of the gun, I was actually expecting it. Let me rephrase that. Without the big buffer spring and the buffer weight inside of an AR, going back and forth, I was actually expecting this to be quite a bit you know, less noticeable on the recoil, but I'll tell you right now, with all of the stuff moving all the way back here right in your shoulder, the recoil itself is not going to be much more perceived than an AR, but it's definitely something you're going to feel in your shoulder because the bolt, everything is happening right back here, right in your shoulder. There's nothing kind of buffering it in between, hence, you know, buffer tube and spring and all that. So if you're expecting something that's going to be, you know, real soft shooting, this is not it. It actually surprised me out of the gate. The cool thing about this gas system, though, is it is user adjustable. So it's got 3 different settings on here. It's got a small dot for, I suppose, normal, a bigger dot for more open, so adverse conditions, and then when you go all the way around to the bottom, it has a grenade setting, which, you know, I think is really cool. I wish I had grenades to be able to launch off of this. In order to change the gas setting, there's just a little claw. You push down and then twist, and now you're on, you know, the adverse conditions setting, which is pretty cool. I didn't need it. I didn't have that many rounds on this gun so far. It's performed almost flawlessly, so the gas settings really didn't matter to me. Up front here, you have a collapsible foregrip, and part of the thing about this gun that makes it super iconic is obviously its shape. You know, it's definitely the bad guy gun in a lot of movies, but just this foregrip and some of the interesting things that they did to make it work, I find to be very cool from a nostalgia standpoint. However, not super usable from an actual shooting standpoint. So when you collapse this grip, I don't know what that's for, because honestly, there is no way I'm going to be getting up on the gun like this and grabbing onto that piston right there, because this entire thing gets smoking hot very, very quick. So I'm not going to be doing a C grip on it. Also, this foregrip that's up here does make it a little difficult to get up onto a barricade and actually do long distance shots. Ah, fuck, dude, this doesn't, hang on, let me shoot this way.
Yeah, it's going.
This is like,
that's a pain.
this is hard. This is awkward, man.
Yeah.
So like I said, this is not super in depth, but I was not able to make shots, you know, on 12-inch steel at 200 yards. Now, getting up on a barricade, I just didn't find a way that I could get my hand up on it and prop the gun up and keep it stable to find out where my shift was on everything. So long distance shots, I don't know. I wasn't able to get out beyond, you know, 150 yards. 200 was just a little bit too far for what I was doing the other day. Moving back, so the M3 version has multiple areas of Picatinny. So some Picatinny on the side if you want to do like a, I guess you could actually have your dot would be offset, but it wouldn't necessarily be offset the right way. I don't know. Like having this Picatinny here, I'm not quite sure what it's for. Probably a light, but it wouldn't be a place that I'd put an offset dot because you're not actually going down the barrel properly. So you'd have a really weird point of impact shift or really weird height over bore. But got full Picatinny on the top, got a QD slot up front. In fact, there's QDs all over this gun. So QD up here, QD back here on this side, and then a reversible QD slot on the back for all of your sling needs. And then over here, this is what's really interesting. So the charge handle is non-reciprocating and it's MP5-ish a little bit. So if you want to lock the bolt open, you pull the charge handle back and push it up. Now, it is a very small ledge and it really interferes with this Picatinny up here. So I had to move the dot back to even be able to do like a MP5 slap. Oh, funny, it hung up there. It's a little MP5 slap if you want to close the bolt. But overall, you know, it's non-reciprocating, so it's not going to hit you. But it is just a little bit funky to get that bolt to lock up because there's just not a lot of space for your hands there to be able to lock that open. Moving down to what I think people have complained the most about the AUG is the trigger. So you have a safety, and it's just a square piece of plastic. So safety pushed in on this side, that means you're going to be on safe. When you want to start to shoot, what's really nice if you're a righty, if you're a lefty, you're screwed, is you push this safety in with your firing finger, your trigger finger, and once that's in, now you can get up on the trigger. People talk about bullpups in general having bad triggers, and I was expecting this to be like terrible. And honestly, it's not that bad. Maybe it's because my expectations were low, but when you get on the trigger, there's really just no movement whatsoever. And then squeeze. Oh wait, gotta close the bolt. When you get up on the trigger, there's not a lot of movement. It's just a squeeze, and then it goes off, and it goes off at like 8 pounds or something like that. The reset is kind of weird because like I'm letting off, and it feels like the trigger is gonna push my finger, and sure enough, it does. So it's funny because on the let off, you almost have to let off more than you need to, and then the trigger is gonna push your finger off, and you're back up off the wall, but then you can have another follow-up shot. So overall, the trigger is actually okay. If you're used to an AR trigger or even an AK trigger, it is definitely worse than those. But I would actually say it's better than a G36 or my Tommy Built G36 clone. It's probably better than an MP5 in my opinion, because those HK triggers just aren't that great. So moving further back, we're going to get to some other funky stuff, and that is the ejection port. So since the barrel comes, God damn, it's so hard to lock that open. So since the barrel comes all the way down this length of the gun, the ejection port is right next to your face. So if you're a lefty, what's nice is they actually have made this gun not ambidextrous, but it's lefty friendly. So it has an ejection port on either side. This is normally covered by a little plate. It fell off. I couldn't figure out how to get it to stay back on, so it's in the box somewhere. Sorry, Steyr, like it's gonna come with it back. But then they have this brass deflector on the right side, and the thing about it is, shooting it without this little plate cover, I don't know if it really is gonna make that much of a difference, but like I said, it came off, and so I had to shoot it without it. There is a lot of gas, like there's a lot of gas that comes out the front of the gun, obviously. It's a very gassy gun. Okay, let's just get that straight. This gun does produce a lot of gas, but I do get kind of gassed out not shooting it suppressed with the smallest gas setting up here on the back side of the gun, because I've got an ejection port right next to my face. So when you're shooting, it's right there next to your face, and you got brass flying out there. And then the manual of arms, okay, super odd, very, very interesting. You have your magazines back here. By the way, 30 round mags, translucent, big fan, so you can see how many rounds are in it. I do like these mags, but you got the mag that you insert, and unlike the original AUG or AUG, the newer versions do have last round hold open, and they have a bolt close back here. Now, if you go through the whole manual of arms and you hook the charging handle up like an MP5, this button is not gonna work because the charge handle's in the way. If I push the charge handle down as if it was an MP5, if there's no rounds in here, it's not gonna strip that first one off because the last round bolt hold open is working. So the manual of arms to change is, okay, I'm out of rounds, pull this out, use the button here, stick a new mag in, bolt close, and you're back on it. I actually found it to be pretty quick. It's definitely not as cumbersome as an MP5 where you have to bring that bolt back, bring the charge handle back, and hold it open. And I'm sure the original Steyr without the last round hold open was kind of a pain in the butt. So to have this with the last round hold open, you know, obviously it just brings it up to modern standards. But overall, when you're holding the gun, the weapon is balanced very, very nicely. Like you'd think because of all this bulk back here, it would be balanced to the rear, but it's when it's got a full mag, it kind of is, but it's not super awkward to be using. But overall, I mean, it's a fun gun to shoot. And like I said at the beginning of this video, this is more of like a, you know, a fanboy getting to shoot his, you know, his, not the hero, actually the bad guy's weapon, but getting to shoot that, and the expectations weren't super high, and honestly, they were met perfectly fine. So if you're looking for the bad guy gun, because anytime you'd see terrorists or baddies in the 80s or 90s. Very often, obviously, they could have AKs, but this was like the weapon of choice for bad guys in 80s and 90s movies. So if you want to have that movie gun, this is very cool. And the fact that right now, I don't want to sound snobbish about this because I've been accused of it, but right now you can pick up one of these M3A1. It's so different. Like I keep thinking M4 or like 1911 A1. So M3A1. If you want a Steyr AUG M3A1, the MSRP is like $2,100. But I see them online on Gunbroker for like $1,799, $1,800. So is it like the first gun I go get? No. Is it in the first 20 guns I go get? No. It's really like once you've had all the guns, or you have all the guns to fulfill your needs, this is definitely on the wants list. But if you have an opportunity and you want to add it, this is something that'll be very cool to sit around and watch Die Hard, to go to the range. And it will be, I hate calling guns range toys, but this would be a gun that would end up being an awesome range toy, because anytime you pull it out, people are going to want to shoot it, and they're going to want to go full-on Carl on it. So Steyr AUG, Die Hard, I mean, I can start checking dream guns off the list. So thanks a lot to Steyr for sending this out so I can live my Die Hard fantasies. And stay tuned, because we have the ultimate Die Hard gun coming up next week.